Hey you people, welcome to the channel. Today I have prepared for you the fictional story of Tony Gallucini, the story of redemption for sins. Enjoy. New York City, a concrete jungle teeming with life, ambition, and a darkness that never truly sleeps. Among the millions chasing their dreams, a different breed operated in the shadows, the mafia. Their loyalty ran deep, their methods ruthless, and their grip on the city's underbelly absolute. Rain lashed down, mirroring the city's relentless rhythm. The asphalt shimmered, reflecting the neon glow of countless streetlights. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, a chain of events set to unfold that would leave an indelible mark on the city's underworld. Tony Gallucini, a soldier in the notorious Gallucini crime family, navigated the city's labyrinthine streets with ease. He was a man of contradictions, hardened by the brutal realities of his world, yet possessing a flicker of humanity. His loyalty to the Don, Vincenzo Gallucini, was unwavering. Tony had risen through the ranks, earning the Don's trust through sheer grit and a willingness to get his hands dirty. Tonight, however, Tony wasn't his usual composed self. He'd celebrated a successful deal, the alcohol dulling the edges of his usual vigilance. The black sedan, a symbol of power and menace, cut through the slick streets. Rain hammered against the windshield, blurring Tony's vision. He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. As Tony rounded a corner, his foot heavy on the accelerator, a figure materialized from the shadows. A gasp escaped his lips, the suddenness of it stealing the air from his lungs. Brakes screeched, a high-pitched whine lost in the roar of the city. The impact was sickening, the sound of metal colliding with flesh echoing in the night. The world seemed to grind to a halt. The screech of tires, the incessant drumming of rain, all faded into a dull hum. Tony sat behind the wheel, his body locked in place, the stench of burnt rubber filling his nostrils. His breath caught in his throat, his mind struggling to process the scene unfolding before him. Slowly, as if in a daze, Tony fumbled for the door handle. He stumbled out of the car, the cold rain stinging his face, jolting him back to a horrifying reality. A dark figure lay sprawled on the glistening asphalt, unmoving. Tony's heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic rhythm echoing the blood rushing in his ears. He staggered towards the figure, each step filled with a dread he couldn't ignore. As he got closer, a wave of nausea washed over him. The lifeless eyes stared up at the unforgiving city lights. The rain had plastered strands of dark hair across a face that was both familiar and impossibly distant. Isabella, the Don's daughter.
Isabella?
Tony choked out, his voice a raspy whisper lost in the relentless downpour. He knelt beside her, his hands hovering over her still form, afraid to touch, afraid to confirm his worst fears. The rain mingled with tears he didn't realize he was crying, blurring his vision further. He had taken a life. Not just any life, but the life of someone he was sworn to protect. The Don's daughter, his friend. The city's cacophony continued around him, oblivious to the tragedy that had unfolded. Cars splashed through puddles, their horns blaring. But for Tony, the world had shrunk to this small, rain-soaked patch of asphalt. The weight of his actions pressed down on him, suffocating him. He had crossed a line, there was no going back. He knew the Don, he knew the price of betrayal. The hours after the accident were a blur. Tony, consumed by guilt and dread, found himself adrift in a sea of despair. He couldn't outrun the image of Isabella's lifeless eyes, the echo of her name on his lips a constant torment. The city, once his playground, now felt like a cage closing in on him. He knew the Don would find out. It was only a matter of time. The call came as no surprise.
The Don wants to see you.
The Don's mansion loomed before him, an imposing structure of stone and shadow. He entered the mansion, the air thick with tension, the scent of lilies masking a palpable sense of dread.
Tony, you disappoint me.
Tony's voice, when he finally found it, was a mere croak. Don, there are no words. I would give my life to undo it.
Life for a life. That's the code, isn't it, Tony? But taking your life, it wouldn't bring her back.
What do you want from me, Don? Tony whispered, his voice choked with shame and fear. He knew there would be a price, a heavy one. The Don always extracted his due.
Isabella had a dream.
The Don said, his voice softening slightly, his gaze fixed on a portrait of his daughter.
A future free from this life. A life she wanted for her younger sister, Maria. You will ensure that future, Tony. That will be your penance.
Don Vincenzo Gallucini, his face etched with a lifetime of hard decisions and shadowed regrets, leaned back in his leather chair. The faint scent of cigar smoke lingered in the air, a testament to the countless clandestine meetings held within the mansion's walls.
The Gallucini family has always prided itself on loyalty, strength, and above all, family.
Tony listened, his gaze fixed on the Don, every muscle in his body taut with anticipation. He knew every word held weight, every sentence a decree.
Our enemies circle like vultures, sensing weakness. Isabella believed in a different path, a future free from the shadows we embrace. Maria deserves that chance, Tony. This is where you come in.
The Don's words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. Tony felt a surge of adrenaline, a familiar cocktail of fear and anticipation coursing through his veins. This was his chance, his shot at atonement.
Anything, Don, just tell me what I need to do.
Sparkling Swan Garden,
The Don stated, his voice devoid of emotion.
the heart of New York's Diamond District, a vault rumored to hold a fortune in jewels and cash, a prize worthy of the Gallucini name. We've been planning this for months, Tony. Isabella was instrumental in gathering the initial intel. This is no ordinary heist, Tony, but you have no choice, either this or eternal shame.
Tony reached for the folder, his fingers tracing the embossed lettering, Sparkling Swan Garden. He'd heard whispers of its impenetrable defenses, the legends of fortunes won and lost within its fortified walls. This wasn't just a job, it was a test of his loyalty, his cunning, his very soul.
I won't let you down, Don.
Tony said he rose from his chair, the weight of the mission settling on his shoulders. As he turned to leave, the Don's voice, barely a whisper, followed him.
Redeem yourself, Tony, for Isabella, for Maria, for the family.
Tony stepped out into the night, the city lights painting the rain-slicked streets in a kaleidoscope of colors. Tony knew he needed a crew, a team with the skills and nerve to pull off the impossible. But first, he needed a planner, a mind that could navigate the labyrinthine security of Sparkling Swan Garden. He needed an architect, not of buildings, but of intricate heists. His thoughts drifted back to his time in rehab, to a quiet, unassuming man he'd met there. A retired engineer, brilliant but haunted by a past he kept shrouded in secrecy. The team assembled, drawn together by Tony's reputation and the promise of a life-changing score. There was Sal, a ghost in the world of electronics, capable of disabling alarm systems with surgical precision. And then there was Frankie the Wrench Lombardi, a master safecracker with a touch as delicate as a pianist's and a nerve forged in the crucible of countless high-stakes heists. And then there was Vito, the muscle, a mountain of a man with a surprisingly gentle demeanor unless provoked. His loyalty to Tony was unwavering, his fists a force of nature best avoided. The team was now complete, each member bringing their unique skills to the table, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. Days turned into weeks as the team pored over blueprints, surveillance footage, and satellite imagery. Hatton Garden's defenses were formidable. Pressure sensors, seismic detectors, motion-activated cameras, a symphony of security orchestrated to deter even the most seasoned criminals. But Tony and his crew were not easily deterred.
The lift shaft, an unlikely entry point, a chink in the fortress's armor that I'm confident we can exploit.
Brian, his eyes gleaming with a renewed sense of purpose, became their guide through this technological maze. "We go in quiet, we come out clean," Tony emphasized, his voice carrying the weight of experience. "No loose ends, no unnecessary risks. This isn't a smash and grab, this is a ballet." Every detail was scrutinized, every variable accounted for. Escape routes mapped, alibis established, and a network of informants primed for any eventuality. Tony, a student of chaos, knew that even the most meticulous plans could unravel. He drilled the team relentlessly, simulating scenarios, testing their reactions, pushing them to the edge. The plan was set. The stage was prepared. New York slept. The city, usually a cacophony of traffic and chatter, was draped in an unusual quietude. The holiday weekend had cast its spell, emptying the streets and silencing the usual bustle of city life. For Tony and his crew, this silence was a symphony, a soothing backdrop to their audacious plan. The air was thick with anticipation as they approached Sparkling Swan Garden, their van a phantom gliding through the desolate streets. Tony, his face illuminated by the dashboard's green glow, could feel the city holding its breath, a silent observer to the events about to unfold. "Remember? Tony's voice, a low murmur in the confined space, cut through the tension. "We're ghosts tonight." Sal, a shadow in the night, disabled the security cameras with practiced ease, his fingers dancing across the keypad. The building, a fortress of concrete and steel, stood before them, its silence both inviting and ominous. They unloaded their equipment, ropes, harnesses, the drill, its industrial-grade casing gleaming under the streetlights.
Brian, his eyes flickering with a nervous energy, double-checked the rigging, ensuring their descent would be swift and silent.
The air hung heavy with the smell of concrete dust and anticipation as Brian positioned the drill against the vault's thick wall. The drill, a beast of a machine, roared to life, its diamond-tipped bit biting into the reinforced concrete. The sound, deafening in the confined space, was their anthem, a testament to their audacity and their determination.
Hour after grueling hour, they took turns, the rhythmic pounding of the drill echoing their relentless pursuit of their goal.
Doubt, a venomous serpent, reared its head in the darkness, but Tony, his resolve unwavering, crushed it with a steely glare. The final layer of concrete crumbled, revealing a gaping hole, their gateway to fortune. A collective gasp escaped their lips as they peered into the vault's dimly lit interior. Rows upon rows of safe deposit boxes, each one a treasure chest promising untold riches, stretched before them, a glittering testament to human greed and desire. The wrench stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with a craftsman's pride, his tools, meticulously arranged on a velvet cloth, glinted under the single light. With deft fingers and the precision of a surgeon, he began disabling the locks, each click a step closer to their goal. Time seemed to both crawl and fly by the silence punctuated by the clinking of tools and the hushed whispers of the crew. Bags of loot, heavy with diamonds, gold, and cash, piled up near the vault's entrance. The air, thick with the metallic scent of victory, was intoxicating. Tony, ever vigilant, kept a watchful eye on the time. Their exit was as meticulously planned as their entry, a ghostly ballet of shadows and silence. As dawn painted the New York sky, Tony and his crew melted back into the city. The Don's study, usually a sanctuary of calm amidst the city's chaos, crackled with unspoken tension. Tony, his face etched with fatigue but his eyes alight with a grim satisfaction, placed a heavy duffel bag on the antique mahogany desk.
It's done.
The Don, his face a mask of impassiveness, didn't move. Diamonds, emeralds, rubies, sapphires, a king's ransom in precious stones, glittered under the soft glow of the chandelier.
Maria will have her future.
Tony left the mansion as the first rays of dawn painted the New York skyline in hues of gold and rose. He had repaid his debt, secured Maria's future, fulfilled Isabella's dying wish, but the weight of his actions, the memory of that rainy night, would forever remain. He walked away from the life he had known, the world of shadows and secrets. He left behind the whispers, the betrayals, the constant threat of violence. He chose a life of quiet anonymity, his past a closed book, his present a blank page. Some said he found solace in a small rural town, his days spent staring at the endless horizon. Tony Gallucini vanished into the tapestry of life, leaving behind a legacy etched in blood, diamonds, and redemption. If you like the story, please share, like, and subscribe for more.